Welcome to Just Minding My Business Radio, where we are moving at the speed of God, learning what we didn't know we didn't know. I'm your host, Ida Crawford.
And I'm your co-host, Ruth Haskins.
So grab a pen and paper and get ready for information that you can use.
Welcome to Just Minding My Business Media, LLC. Every day is a perfect day. There is always a reason to be joyful. Consider product placement with Just Minding My Business Media, LLC. With our presence on all major podcast platforms and listeners in over 200 countries, that makes your message international. Visit our website at jmmdmediallc.com to discover digital products to 10x your business. Contact us at jmmdradio@gmail.com. Pete Sena is a design-led entrepreneur who loves to partner with future-forward founders, entrepreneurs, and business leaders to unlock new possibilities and growth. Pete co-founded Digital Surgeons, a forward-obsessed brand experience consultancy. He is a dedicated collaborator who uses creativity to mix visual branding, storytelling, and user experience to deliver results-driven, future-forward growth marketing. By combining this unique power of human creativity and curiosity with leading-edge analytics and technology, Pete empowers fellow founders and forward-thinking business leaders to uncover transformative possibilities, paving the way to unconventional paths to growth. For nearly 20 years, Pete has built and led cross-functional teams that have delivered a number of successful multi-channel programs and activations, ranging in scale from venture-backed startups to Fortune 50 organizations. That was a lot. This is a busy man.
I have really great copywriters alongside me. So I was like, who is that guy? Oh, that's me. Great to be here, folks.
Yes, absolutely. So how did you come up with the name? I love it.
Thank you so much. I get a lot of mixed feedback on it. So I always love when we hear the good things. To answer the question, I remember back when I first was starting out, I was working full time for a large corporation and I was thinking about going off on my own. And one of my sort of friends at the time who ended up joining the organization later said to me, you know, you're always going into these organizations and you're getting it's like a rat's nest of all different things. And you're sort of going in, you're taking things apart, you're finding ways to put it back together. You know, it's kind of like you're doing surgery on it. And so much of the work we were doing was digital at the time. You know, everything was living online. So we were digital surgeons. And that's where the original name came from.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely interesting.
I'm going to tell you, I am a neophyte to your way of thinking. I don't think I understand much of what it means, some of these terms mean. So I'm going to be asking you for definitions. Okay.
Yeah, no worries. We can play buzzword bingo. There's so many new ones coming out every day.
Okay. First of all, what is a design-led entrepreneur?
It's a great question. So a lot of entrepreneurs typically will have an idea or a vision in their head, and sometimes they come from a sales background. Sometimes they come from a marketing background or an engineering background, which a lot of these Silicon Valley, tech entrepreneurs that we talk about all too much, often come from technology backgrounds or engineering and coding. What a design-led entrepreneur is someone that comes at it through this approach of being a designer. What I mean by that is designers are problem solvers. They really understand how to really lean into the customer, listen to the customer, and instead of just building something or coming up with an idea from, their head, it's very much being designed, much like a lot of the businesses that we see today. So when you're design led, you're really focused on your customer. You're really focused on understanding true problems that people have, and you're going through a different lens. So one of the other words that you might have heard is this idea of being human centered or a human centered design. They're kind of like synonyms to one another.
And that's really critical because at the end of the day, it ain't about you.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
It's about the customer and what they want. And I mean, I'm an IT professional. And a lot of times, when I'm working with a client and they want some new software, it's like, well, what do you need it to do?
Yep.
Let's start there. And that way, when I'm looking at stuff, I can, oh, they wanted it to do this. This is critical. And then I go from what's really important and what's not so important.
Absolutely. So you're more design led than you give yourself credit for.
Yeah, I guess I am. I didn't know what it was called.
Okay, so next question. What does it mean to be future forward? And it says that you are a forward obsessed brand experience consultancy.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So a lot of the people that we compete with now are some of the largest consultancies in the world. So we recently got brought in on an engagement that our friends at McKinsey had recently wrapped up on. And for those of you that don't know, McKinsey is a traditional management consulting firm. They get brought in to solve all types of different business challenges. What's unique about my firm, Digital Surgeons, is we help people understand where they're at, what's happening in the future. So making some future trend predictions, looking at where the markets are going, looking at some of the different future outcomes that are down the field, down the horizon, a couple of years out. And then we sort of walk it backwards. So the difference with us is that we're taking that customer obsessed version. We like to think about prototypes over PowerPoints is sort of one of the big things that we talk about a lot. And it's really about leaning into what's possible and helping people understand what they're going to start, stop, and continue doing to push the business forward. So where a lot of consultants come at it through a finance perspective or a employee or operations perspective, we come at it through a customer experience perspective. And that's getting a lot more popular now. I'd say over the last 3 to 5 years, we see the McKinseys, the Accentures, the large consultancies acquiring firms like mine, specifically because of that customer experience capability. Because I think we're in a world now where executives realize that analysis paralysis or ideas without execution are a big waste of money and time. And I think what our clients like about us is they bring us in, we very quickly get to a point where we align on a problem that they're trying to solve. We connect it to a real customer problem. That's not just, PowerPoints or theory. And then we start chipping away at solving that problem. So it's very common for us to start seeing results within the first 8 to 10 weeks of working with us, which typically when working with most consultancies and firms that I've worked with in the past, typically they're really requiring somewhere between an 8 to 12 month type of commitment to really start to make results and impact. So we focus on that idea of incremental innovation, which is really what, when we say we're forward obsessed, it's all got to be based on results from the day one.
When you help somebody and you can see that they've been helped, it is such a wonderful feeling.
I couldn't agree more.
So we got some good terms here. Design driven.
A lot of the people who listen to us are business owners or in some form of segment of business, be it coaching or a brick and mortar, technology, what have you. But I don't think that many people think about their businesses as being future forward. Like we start a business, we're just trying to get it off the ground. That's really what we're trying to do. And we're trying to get the mechanics down and all the pieces of the puzzle. But there was something in the video that I was trying to do for this, which people hopefully will get to hear anyway. But you were explaining to a group of people that once you get to a certain point, that's not where you stop. You have to use that as your jumping off point to go forward. Am I right? Did I?
Yeah, no, you're spot on. I mean, I love your insight. Clearly you've got a really good eye about you to be able to read between the lines. And I think the essence of what I was trying to say, you captured better than I could. So thank you for that. To sort of build on what you said there, one of the books that I love is by Marshall Goldsmith, What Got You Here Won't Get You There. And I really think when you think about a business, so many businesses couldn't have predicted this global pandemic that, some would say we're through, some would say we're still in the middle of. So I don't want to, mix views here. But what I mean by that specifically is we have gone through a period of unprecedented change, and the world today moves a million miles faster than it did just a couple of years ago. And I think what that means is being future forward is understanding how to listen to the customers and listen to the market and make sure that what you're designing, and by designing, I mean your products, your services, your experiences. And if you're a restaurant today and you're cash only, in a world where Gen Z doesn't carry cash, you're you're extinct. If you're a restaurant today and you don't have Uber Eats or Grubhub delivery services, you're going to purposely alienate a large amount of your potential customer base locally. I started out as a small business entrepreneur. Now I work with, large organizations up to Fortune 50s, but I still take that mantra forward, which is you have to always be understanding where the market's going. Because if you're playing catch up, you're often playing too late. And that's why when I say future forward, it's not to divert an entrepreneur or business owner from getting those mechanics right, but rather understanding where things are going. So for example, if you're a business owner and you do e-commerce, like I know some of the folks you've had on your podcast earlier, these folks have online businesses, right? And some of these online businesses, these e-commerce businesses, when we started to have toilet paper shortages in the middle of the pandemic, people started to understand the problems with the supply chain. I've witnessed so many different e-commerce business operators having their businesses come to screeching halts because they couldn't get the products to their customers. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a great example of being future forward to understand, hey, where's the market going? The CEO of JP Morgan just said we have a hurricane coming from a recession potential perspective, right? Being future forward means, hunkering down, understanding your cash position, understanding your balance sheet, understanding the mechanics of your business. So I think people often mistake this concept of future forward being associated with new bells and whistles and NFTs and all kinds of fancy stuff. When I say future forward, I just mean really listening to the market, listening to your customers, listening to the things that they're telling you that they love and hate about you and your competitors, and then leaning into that and sort of being like a business oracle to do that.
Okay. I want to just use something as an example that I just came across. Toilet paper problem. Okay?
Yeah.
Someone has come out with a new item. I'm thinking it's new. I hadn't heard of it before. But it's called a portable bidet.
Yep.
Answer to the toilet paper problem. As somebody was watching what was going on with the toilet paper shortage, and they went to work saying that if this ever happens again, people are going to have an alternative. Your own portable bidet, and it's small. It's nobody's going to know what's going on except you. But I thought, wow, when I saw that the advertisement for it, I was like, what were they thinking? And then you just said it was a toilet paper shortage, because that's all of their marketing is built around not needing toilet paper. It was amazing. It was like, okay, but that's part of it. They looked at where they were, they took what they had, and they created something that, we can see that, going forward. So people won't have that insanity ever again. They'll feel secure as long as
Absolutely.
you order.
No, I totally agree with you, Ruth. And I want to build on that because you said something earlier, which I feel like I didn't have a succinct enough answer for you on, which is what does it mean to be a design-driven entrepreneur and a design-led entrepreneur? And a good example of that, I love the example you just gave around the toilet paper example. There's this concept in design that we use a lot, which is a buzzword, but it means a lot. And it's called the unarticulated need. So it's very easy to say, hey, I'm thirsty. Obviously, then I want water or then I want coffee. As designers, we look for what's called the unarticulated need. So the thing that people aren't necessarily saying that they need, but we think that they want. So a good example is about a year and a half ago, maybe actually a little over a year and a half ago, I saw the sort of retrofitting bidet for toilets kind of making the rounds on Instagram, on the internet. And one of the things that was really interesting is if you go to high-end resorts or spas, some of the listeners might be relating to this. A lot of these places have, and certainly in Europe, it's very popular to have a bidet, but now in a lot of spas that have, like Japanese toilets, for example, they have the automatic buttons and it, the heated seats and all kinds of things, but they're very expensive, right? To have one installed, from a brand new toilet, it can be, almost $2,000. That's a big investment. So I think what was interesting is this particular ad that I saw, it wasn't talking about the toilet paper shortage, but I saw an ad that said, do you want to have that luxury clean feeling that you have when you're on vacation every day in your bathroom? Wow. It's $100 and you can have it right now. Push this button and purchase it. So I was sort of following that trend. I'm a huge fan of a publication called Trends by The Hustle. It was actually recently acquired by HubSpot for a large amount of money. But for those of you that are looking for trends, upcoming trends, definitely check out Trends by The Hustle, because that's where I discover these things like the retrofit toilet or again, going back to that concept of unarticulated needs, it's listen to what the customer isn't saying, read between those lines, and then find a solution for it. So a really good example of that I saw recently with the pandemic was someone that went and launched these little kind of clips that you could use to open a door. And it was made out of an antimicrobial material. So very, almost like a plastic material. It looked like almost like a bottle opener, but it was designed so you could open doors.
Wow.
Now, no one was saying, hey, we want a device to open doors for us, right? But what people were saying very clearly is, oh, I don't want to touch that. So most people think the solution is put in an automated door and spend a ton of money on a business. But not all businesses can afford that. We had businesses almost going under during the pandemic, some of them, right? So now this design-driven founder goes and launches this product online and sells millions and millions of these products that they sourced, internationally very easily. So that's an example of listening to the unarticulated need and what is the second and third order consequence of a problem happening. So the example of toilet paper, just to close the loop on that, is we have problems with the supply chain. So now being a forward assessed entrepreneur, I can see, okay, 6, 12, 24 months from now, we're going to have problems with the supply chain, just like we have problems with mental health because of this pandemic, the isolation, all these things. So if I was to start any business 2 years ago, it would be a business based on solving for a latent need that's going to only get worse after the ripple effect happens. And that's what I mean by being a forward obsessed entrepreneur.
Okay.
Fabulous explanation.
That's a very great explanation. Wow.
Thank you. I couldn't have gotten there without Ruth in the toilet seat example, so I appreciate you.
Things we connect. I think it's just really, I'm so glad that you came today to be with us and to bring this out, because many people don't get it and have not thought about it. They're still in an old mode of, like I said, just getting the business up. But really, in order to succeed, we do have to get into a forward, almost obsessed mindset. Mm-hmm. So many things that I could keep you here for a couple of hours.
Listen, I got a little bit more time if you do.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely want you to come back, because I think we need to dissect this conversation and focus on different areas and that kind of thing. So how do people get in contact with you? Let me just put that out there.
So my firm, Digital Surgeons, we're just digitalsurgeons.com. And I've got an amazing team that would love to hear from anybody with some of the business challenges that they're facing. You can follow me directly on Twitter at Pete Sena. So PETESENA. I also frequently write on Medium. So I'm pretty much Pete Sena on all the major social channels. For those of you that are on TikTok, which my team forced me to get on there a couple months ago, I'm Pete's Lens on TikTok. But if you search for Pete Sena, most of the things that will pop up on Google will be me. And I would, I'd love to hear from anybody that's facing a business challenge, and maybe I can point them in the right direction.
Awesome. I know that you can.
Yeah.
There's just so much I would like to ask you, but we're going to just jump off that piece and go to why is having a design-driven mindset critical for growth?
Yeah. So I think that what makes creativity in a lot of organizations is really a scarce resource. And I think the reason why is that from the time we're young, we get put into these institutional linear education systems that basically teach us how to read information and regurgitate it back. I think critical thinking, curiosity, and creativity are such powerful skills. And for the people listening to this now or in the future that are afraid of technology and AI and all these things, the one thing that they won't be able to replace for a very, very, very long time, like I'm talking like 100 years time, is going to be human creativity. Most of these AIs are studying human creativity because of our ability to connect dots in very unprecedented ways. So when I say the importance of being design driven and design obsessed, it's looking through the lens of constantly trying to solve problems, looking at the moments of friction that people have when they're using your product or service. And by friction, I mean, are they struggling with something? Are they complaining with something? Are they overcompensating with something? One of the things I used to do with a lot of my clients with physical products is I would make them invite customers in and watch their customers unpackage the product, watch the customers use the product. And a lot of product folks would just be frustrated because they'd want to jump in and tell the person, oh, no, do it this way or do it that way. And what I always said, and it's sort of a copycat of what Steve Jobs from Apple used to say, is if an interface has to tell people how to use it, it's a bad interface. And I think that applies with a physical product or a digital product. And that's one of the reasons why I think being really design obsessed is such an important thing. The brands and products and services that we all love, know, and trust, they lean into and really understand how to solve problems for humans. And that's where the design approach really comes into play. And we've been blessed in that, we've seen more demand for our services in the past 2 years than so many other types of businesses, because specifically people are looking to transform. They recognize that it's no longer a 9 to 5 business as usual world, and we have to adapt, and we have to adapt now. And those of us that aren't leaning into that are most likely going to become extinct. And what I say to people is not to get overwhelmed by it. I think most people jump to technology as a solution or technology as something that they're scared of. What I often like to do is just take stock in what you have and ask yourself a very simple question. What's working? What's not working? Double down on the things that are working, pull back on the things that aren't. And I ask a very simple question to all of my clients once I look at their thing. It's, what are you going to start doing? What are you going to stop doing? And what are you going to continue doing? And I think a lot of times, especially for small business owners or even big business owners that have a lot more resources, they oftentimes try to find resources that they don't have, when really, if you just stop the things that aren't working for your business by measuring the right things, you can find a lot more time. And a lot of times you can do more with less, but not when you're trying to do a million things at once. So again, I say that as a futurist, as someone who uses technology every day, but I think, Ida, this, right? As an IT professional, it's, technology, like you said, if you're picking the wrong software just because they want the new shiny toy that's out there they saw on the TV commercial or the Instagram ad,
right,
not going to help them, because they got to learn how to use the new tool. They got to educate the workforce on it. They got to bring it to bear. Sometimes it's as simple as just getting rid of the thing, not adding another one.
Yeah, absolutely. And even in the work that we do, I have to go in and look at software, because right now I'm in an automation mode, trying to automate as many tasks as I possibly can. But I have to look at the software. I've got to go through it, play with it. Is this going to be easy to learn, or is it going to be cumbersome? Because then that's going to take time to learn it. And I can learn a software pretty quickly because of my background, but
of course,
if I bring somebody in, how quickly are they going to be able to learn?
100%. Have you played with Zapier at all yet?
Say that again.
Have you played with Zapier at all yet?
Oh, yes. I've been using that for a few years now. It's kind of funny. At first, I found that it's a great software package, but you really have to play with it a little bit. Sure. Now that I've been doing it for a while, I kind of got the hang of it, but I really like it because of the connection, the way that I can use it. But in the beginning, it's definitely not friendly.
For sure. Friendly. And for the listeners out there, so Zapier is an online software that basically lets you program if this, then that types of solutions with any type of thing. So for example, if you use Slack, which I'm sure many of us do, you can set up Slack to hook up to your website. So when someone sends you an email or sends you a new order, Slack lights up for you. So it basically lets people connect together all types of technologies and do the magic things that IDA can do, but you don't need to be able to write code. You don't need to be able to have that deep IT background. So yeah, we've been using that for a number of years. I've probably saved 70, 80 hours a week on what would normally be a manual task, just gets automated with a tool like Zapier.
Yes. It definitely saves some time.
Absolutely.
For sure. Wow. We're going to have you back.
Yes.
I'd be happy to.
This is just too deep. We can't cover everything we want to cover in one setting. So we're definitely going to have to come back and soon, while this is still fresh in people's minds, and go to the next level. So again, how can people get in contact with you?
So I think a great way to get in contact is to hop on our website, digitalsurgeons.com. We kind of put a lot of the case studies up there, put different things where people can easily reach us. Or for me, just, follow me on the social platforms. I'm pretty much Pete Sena, PETESENA on all the major platforms. And I think I said this before, but for those that are on TikTok, I'm Pete's Lens on TikTok. My team's been forcing me to get on there and been having some fun making some goofy videos, but you won't find me dancing there.
Okay.
Wow. So if nobody takes anything away from this conversation, the design piece and the forward thinking, I find that this is definitely a takeaway from this conversation and critical for your business, to move forward and stay relevant.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much, Pete. We are definitely looking forward to more of these collaborations and maybe having a panel where we can.
Anytime. Yeah. I'd be happy to. You folks know how to find me now, so definitely shoot me a note and we can make it happen.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much.
Okay. I'll be quiet now. I won't ask any more questions.
Ask away. Like I said, if you guys have a couple more questions, I've got a couple more minutes. If it's, I don't know if you have a limited time segment or not, but yeah, I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you have.
We may be limited on time, so I'll save it for when you come back.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's going to be real soon.
Okay.
All righty, Pete. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. We definitely appreciated this collaboration.
You too. I love what you folks are doing, and we'll be happy to come back.
All righty.
Thank you for tuning in to Just Minding My Business Radio. I'm your host, Ida Crawford.
And I'm your co-host, Ruth Haskins.
We hope you enjoyed the show and appreciate you stopping by. Many blessings to you and yours.